think about it, they're going after Olfat Khanum. I believe she was threatened and or tortured for her confession, Kholbash Kholbashov. And then the translator who was at that meeting, Shifa, I forget her last name, I apologize. It was also arrested. And so if you look at the whole picture, what Tajikistan is calling this is an anti-terrorist operation. Now, why are they doing that? Well, the US has largely withdrawn from the region, and they also want to get more funding. And China wants that roadway going through Barkharok, where Colonel Mahmoud Bukharov was controlling to some extent. They want that clear so that trade can flow through there. And that's one of the Tajik government's stated missions for their anti-terrorist clearing operation. And then, you know, allegedly the Russians sent some mercenaries to support as well. Well, why did Russia support? Some say that the Russian government was given information by the Tajik government that the West was trying to start a coup in the area, and so they should go there. But also, if you look back at when Crimea was invaded by the Russians, the operation in 2014 happened soon after that, and there was a huge ramp up of anti-Western rhetoric at that time in Tajikistan, and there was a series of events which I outline clearly in my book on bridging state and civil society, and it looks like that sort of propaganda effort against the West is starting. There's also been some I don't know what you want to call them, like KGB bots on Facebook, stating that AKDN is supporting and funding these terrorists in the region. We all know that's not true by any means. And when you start, when you start thinking about the area as full of terrorists, Pomiris and Ismailis have really never been known to be in any way radical or terrorists or religiously radical or whatever they want to call them, or cooperating with the Taliban, which is another rumor that's coming out. And so I think that when we think about the violence, it's sort of simplest to look at it in terms of the Tajik government wants to gain control of the region. It cannot designate it non-autonomous. And so it has to find other ways to find an excuse to try to gain control. And there's a huge amount of both traffic and trade that goes through that region. And they get a lot of funding from China, and there's a lot of flow from China, and there's also a lot of mineral wealth in the area. So there's this sort of undercurrent of other things, but it bubbles up into this conflict, that really has been going on for since the Civil War. And that's the means of, and what I mean by the conflict is the conflict between the non-Pamiri Tajiks and the Pamiri Tajiks that are there. And it's in terms of what might happen in the future, it's hard to say, because as they kill these older local leaders, they actually have a calming effect on some of the younger sort of budding leaders and the other local leaders. So it depends on what those groups do, but it might also, in a very scary way, pacify the population, kind of like with the Uyghurs, if they continue their operations, and it could get a lot worse.
Thank you very much, Suzanne. So we have a third speaker who is not on the announcement of the event, but who has a huge knowledge on the region. So we thought she would